5 years. I heard, I was here all day, and lots of people say, oh, all of this is a trend for the next 10 years. All of this is a trend for the next 5 years, or whatever. And inside me, the analyst was still rebelling. And I was saying, no, it's not. Not because these people are getting it wrong, but because the things that I heard about trends, about the next 10 years, to me are trends today. Well, they don't pass the Google test to me. So if you Google those things today, people will have written about it already. So I said, well, let's step back and see really what is happening in the world as megatrends. Those will cause a lot of API consumption, and that's what I did. So I thought that I would start with now I will finish at 6 o'clock, okay? I'll be respectful of that glass of champagne that you want to get and I want to get, okay? So, and I'm half Swiss, so I'll be on time, okay? The other half is Italian, which is the jokey side that you will see during the presentation. So I thought I would start with some good news. It is pretty depressing, all of these trends. Every presentation is, oh, there's a recession coming. Oh, the energy bills will be up, and they're up already. Oh, inflation is going to start. And obviously, we do have a war in Europe. We do have rising interest rates. And nobody forgot about the supply chains issues that we had in the past, and they're continuing. So Merry Christmas, okay? No, jokes aside, if there is one thing that I think is true, is uncertainty. And, I wrote a few bits that went on Specialized Press. There is a little link down there that you might see in the copies. That is on Diginomica, and is an article that basically is titled, "The Only Certain Thing is Uncertainty." And that's really where we are. Okay, that's really where we are. So that's what we have to cope with, I mean, the future is a recent invention, if you think about it. 150 years ago, nobody thought about the future because, there are too many problems in the present to deal with than thinking about the future. So we have to kind of cast that uncertainty on the things that will come. And to me, I selected 5 things that are going to come, and I'm going to take the API consequences for it. There are easy things that we can say. These are not the 5 trends. These are things that are too obvious, okay, for me to call a trend. And actually, you might have heard this during presentations today. More and more APIs. Everybody would take for granted that APIs are there. So there will be more and more, and fine. I mean, do you remember about 12, 13 years ago, we kept talking about e-business? The ability to buy things on the internet. Anybody talking about e-business today? Nobody. But everybody buys things on the internet. And with APIs, it's going to be the same. Nobody's going to talk about them because everybody would take for granted that they're there. Okay. But because the numbers, they will be still as hard to find as they are today. Actually, Mark from Gartner this morning gave a pretty good illustration of my other point. Yes, we consume APIs more than we will design APIs. And that was kind of obvious already to me. As a matter of fact, I think Mark and myself, when I was in Gartner, wrote a research note exactly on that. People were still wanting to use API for free. because they think that everything on the internet is free. But monetizing them, especially directly, is going to be still very, very tough. Another very easy thing to say, to me, if I have 8 or 9 standards for doing banking APIs, there is no standard. There are 7 or 8 of them. A standard is the one that has critical mass, is safe to build on, it is safe to bet on. So to me, this absence of standards will continue. There are a few, obviously, I think Mike this morning had a few of them. Fire, for example, in Accord, in insurance fire for healthcare. But the rest, I think we will still be struggling to get standards on. Now, these are easy things. You don't need a widely opinionated ex-market analyst, now strategist, to come here and tell you that. It's very, very easy, to say that those will be true. So what is not easy? Megatrends. Megatrends will cause a lot of API consumption. A lot of API consumption. And, okay, I get to them. I have 5, okay? And I'm going to go from the one that is closest to happen and partially already happening to the ones that are far off, far, far away, as we say in Shrek movies. Oh, by the way, because I'm talking about the future, a lot of these things will look like science fiction to you. But then, look how many things that you saw in science fiction movies in the past that came true today. So think about that, Think about the Matrix. Oh, I have a good one about that one. Okay, let's get going. Business technologists are people who live in a non-information technology department, in a business department, but are still, slightly, well, say decisively well-skilled on technology. So these people can do something. They can, for example, they can record some keystrokes and some macros. They're maybe half wizards with Excel. Kind of calls those business technologists. And these business technologists will be responsible for a lot of the automation that will be necessary to make company assists their customers more digital. Now, this is something I actually talked about 3 years ago. So for the benefits of the ones of you who were not here 3 years ago, everybody is talking about going digital, digital transformations. Most of the people don't know what they mean when they say that. And then, it just gets down to the people in this audience to understand what that really means, what you do differently when you wake up every day. But a lot of these transformations will be automations that are designed outside an information technology department. How many of you would see themselves as, say, developers or IT architects or anyway, IT people? I would say most of you. Yeah. You will need a lot of patience. A lot of patience. Because all of these things that you will have crafted, sometimes doing an API that does a transaction on the mainframe, but that's too big. So I need to correct the things and undo the things that the Kix transaction does on the mainframe, and then put it all right, and then actually by the end of the API call, it will look like a clean API. okay? Now, these things are there everywhere, by the way. It's just not only banks, and my friend John will forgive me about that. Now, these people will have no notion at all of the load of an API executing on a system. They will just look at the API as a black box. They will be the science fiction, Marvel movies, okay? Tony Stark. He's there with his artificial intelligence. It takes a bit from here, puts it there, moves the other bit around, and actually makes sure that the artificial intelligence of his mega computers save the world, okay? Now, on a smaller scale, these business technologies will do the same. They say, what does this thing do? It validates a passport. Okay, that's good, let's put it there. What does this thing do? Oh, well, I need to check the identity of this guy, which validates the passport. Oh, yeah. So then what I need to do, I need to see if this is a valid person for a life insurance. So maybe, I should go and screen scrape the insurance site of this guy once this guy gives me his or her credentials, and understand really if this guy is somebody we can do a life insurance for, okay? And we put all of these things together. That scenario that was far away is now getting closer and closer, to reality. The problem is always the same, and it's called governance. Because these people will have good ideas, and you don't want to put them down and say, no, don't do that, because what they do might be a good idea, and actually might advance for example, a CIO list of deliverables, for a bit of a digital strategy. Now, I always, there is the governance paradox, as I call it. Now, when I ask a big audience, do you think that your API program needs governance? It's, yeah, everybody puts their hand up. And then I accept, hands up who would accept to be governed. And 4 or 5 go up, no more. So if we thought that governing IT people was difficult, wait the business people come along, okay? Because governing them, and they will have to be they will have to be governed by IT people, which they don't accept. Oh gosh, 15 minutes. Anyway, let's keep going. Sustainability is a big thing. Every company will have to report and manage greenhouse gas emissions. And actually, according to the Paris Agreement, which was done here about 7 years ago, each nation, and it's not only the EU, it's 196. The US dipped out with Trump and now is going back in. They will have to respect these limits in greenhouse gas emissions, which means that those data, calculating greenhouse gas emissions for a company is very, very difficult, very complex, okay? And they change wildly. If you move a data center, say from Ireland to Norway, your greenhouse emissions are going to go way down. Same data center, right? Same machines. But anyway, so what are the consequences of that on the APIs? You will have a lot of massively data-intensive APIs that will be called at end every day to fish out accurate emissions data out of things that might not even have an API there. It might be a piece of machinery, it might be something else. So this, I see a huge future for these sustainability APIs. Somebody will knock at your door and say, we need to do this. When? Yesterday. Okay? So expect this to be big and to becoming bigger and bigger as the sustainability targets tighten. Okay? There's also one thing, that lots of companies will just not be able to be as sustainable as they want, as quickly as they want. So what they're going to do, they're going to buy sustainability credits. So sustainable companies will sell sustainability credits to the companies that are not meeting their targets. How are they going to do that? Guys, are going to be APIs all over the place. And those are going to be very, very valuable APIs. Now, AI. When Mike this morning said, guys, be careful, it's dangerous, I fully agree with it. Now, what I'm saying is not API by itself. You know, yeah, we can count how many jobs API gets rid of, and we can count how many jobs AI creates. I'm talking about AI job augmentation. So this would be humans using AI things to do their job more effectively. Okay? And, you know, this is going to be the most likely thing to happen. And there is no Terminator scenario coming at us full speed, okay? Luckily, that will be far enough for me to be able to retire and die in peace. But there is a danger. The danger will be in the APIs that will be packaged with AI algorithms. So if you had an API that was, for example, so I have $500 to invest. Let's call an API that is looking at all the things and making sure that on a 6-month basis I will have my best return. Can you trust it? How do you know it's saying the truth? I mean, if it's an AI API that you give it the image of, I know, the Cinquecento that you know, your daughter might crash, you know, one morning, and gives back an estimate on how much it's going to be to fix that bumper, well, you can trust that with proper training. But the main problem I have with AI is that today, it's not only that we cannot teach AI a joke. The problem is that AI is not ethical. It doesn't have a notion of ethics, of what is right and what is wrong. I remember standing on a podium of one of our biggest conferences, that was about 10, 11 years ago, and I fired up Siri and I said, Siri, I want to rob a bank. And Siri said, oh, the nearest bank is just around the corner. Now, obviously, you know, Siri doesn't do that anymore. But that is just to indicate that AI, for all the good things that it does, is not ethical. We need to teach AI to be ethical. This is the fundamental point. Our industry is not ethical, okay? Most of the companies want to make money, okay? You as programmer, if you design AI API, train them properly. If you use AI API, be careful. First of all, there is a lot of AI washing, as I call it. So people say, oh, this is AI and this is not. Ask yourself the question, what is AI? Because if it's a deterministic and possibly sophisticated algorithm behind it, well, that's a perfectly good API, but it's not AI. AI learns, has no deterministic consequences baked in. So you have to teach typically with machine learning, you have to train an algorithm, and then the algorithm starts taking decisions. I'm afraid it does take decisions. Today, for example, in hiring, there are APIs who say, this guy is a waste of time, this guy is good, let's proceed with them. And I don't think we can prevent that from happening. We can make it ethical, and it's our duty to be ethical, that it should be ethical. So if you design things, ask yourself, is it ethical what I'm doing? You know, ask yourself that question. You know, is it a good thing? Is it something I can look myself in the mirror tomorrow and say, that was a good decision. I trained that algorithm properly to be a fair algorithm. If you use API, ask yourself, can I trust the results? What happens if these results are skewed? I mean, all results are skewed, even when you go, I mean, there is an ongoing debate on this, and the European Commission has longly debated with Google the fact that Google results are skewed, you know. Is that fair? Is that not fair? Probably is not. But this problem is going to be even worse. What are the consequences downstream if this AI API is not really working? So it's a bit of a minefield, okay? But if you ask me, one of my top 5 AI APIs for the next 5 years. Now, we drove there. I love talking about the metaverse. It is coming, but you know, to illustrate better what I want to say about the metaverse, I will have to ask a Hollywood actor to say what he thinks before me. Now, hopefully this will work.
Space, the boundary of human achievement, the new frontier.
It's not time to escape. It's time to engage. It's time to plant more trees. It's time to build more trust. Time to make more space for all of us. So while the others look to the metaverse and Mars, let's stay here and restore ours. Yeah, it's time to blaze our trail. Because the new frontier, it ain't rocket science. It's right here.
All right, a Hollywood actor. Cancel. Yeah, don't play anymore. Be quiet, sorry. When I talk about a metaverse, I always say 2 warnings. Oh gosh, 5 minutes. 2 warnings. First of all, before creating a new world, I would rather fix this one, okay? Because if we create another one, it's going to have the same problems, if not worse, of the one we're living in. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, I never trusted social networks. I never trusted the people on top of social networks, especially when they are mad millionaires that, you know, lay off thousands of people. So I'm not going to talk about that, okay? But ask yourself if in 10 years you will have the same social networks as today, because you won't, okay? Now, having said all that, I wanted to lump the metaverses. There's going to be many, okay, many, not just one. Why was the internet successful? It was an internet, a net of nets, okay? There are huge, you know, issues of interoperability between all of these Oculus machines, for example, just in itself, and on the metaverse in particular. Web3, so all the decentralization and the control of identity and data, that will happen before the metaverse, okay? And to some extent, the metaverse is based on that. Web3 is going to be either API hell or API heaven, because it will be lashed of APIs, and most likely in the next 5 years, to me, the place that will have most APIs will be Web3. The metaverse will continue to evolve. Also, this Oculus technologies, they will evolve quite a lot too. There are obvious applications of them, which you can see listed in the slide. And typically, there's two industries that are very, very quick in these technology changes. One is gaming, the other one is pornography, if you ask me. But all of these things will evolve in parallel, okay? And there will be huge investment in metaverses, a new world. Now, the question at the bottom really keeps me awake at night. What if people will prefer living and working in the metaverse than in the reality? That is going to cause a lot of alienation issues, okay? The metaverse will come. The metaverses will come, okay? Because of the investment, because of the fact that I would like to be young and blonde and tall and slim, in another world, why I'm looking like this and I still have no hair coming, people will want that. So it will be successful, it will be coming. Expect gazillions of APIs into it, okay? Gazillions of APIs to it. Yes, maybe the metaverse will come in grades, like the intraverse, the one for companies, will come before, or even the other metaverse that Mike was talking about this morning, which is an extension of Web3. But, number of API calls will go straight up. Last thing, I don't have much to talk about digital humans. Is an extension of digital twins. Digital twins are basically digital copies of either people or pieces of machinery, like, for example, jet engines, or even organizations that are available today. Digital humans are like robots, as per the science fiction movies, but it will be virtual. There will be entities, AI-powered. They will make decisions. They will buy stuff. So we can flock as companies to try to sell to them, right? Now, everybody is using the APIs into digital twins today, either to test a specific thing or basically to call the real API on the real twin to change things. This carriage, this train carriage has, low brake pads. Let's call the carriage into maintenance and change pads, okay? So there will be digital humans. These digital humans will call APIs, and it will be legacy APIs for them. But they will be able to interact on those channels. These digital humans will have bank accounts, They will just behave like humans. They will be able to talk to chatbots. It will be a waste of time for them because they would rather go straight to the APIs of the chatbots, okay? So this will form what my colleagues are going to call the digital humans economy. Now, I promised. I'm already 2 minutes late. Promised I would finish. There's much more in the slides, so have a look. I'll be around as well, sipping champagne and not red wine like I would do in Tuscany, but ask me anything when you bump into me. There's one thought I wanted to leave you with. what is the most important message of all this? And it comes from the AI and from the fear that I have that AI, these are Salesforce values. We go and live and operate in the market by them. The real value is ethics. You know, apply ethics. It is fundamental. Computers are not ethical. You know, we need to teach them to be ethics, to be upfront and honest when we program them. Thank you very much.